Yes, so I'd like to make a formal complaint. Someone in this office has been eating my biscuits. They've been using all the charge on my DualSense. And scurrying around under my desk and pulling out all the cables. I think it's Rob.
I wonder if video game bad guys face the same HR challenges. Are common grunts called in for shooting accuracy tests? Are mini-bosses on a development track to become main bosses? Do main bosses need monthly check-ins to see if they still deserve their end-of-level spot? If they do, I've got some suggestions for bosses that maybe don't make the cut. Bosses that are past their prime or never put up much of a fight in the first place. Bosses that go down too quickly or are too easily cheesed. Here then are 7 bosses so easy they should be demoted immediately, in my opinion. Gotham City is notorious for its rogues gallery. Having a hero with a no-kill policy is the top search criteria for villains looking up property on Rightmove. That mercy also means those villains are in constant circulation, and while I love having the last laugh with Joker or telling Mr. Freeze to cool off, it's exciting when a new face appears in the local paper.
Half man, half seagull. Well, I look forward to punching him in the face.
That's why the Electrocutioner's appearance in Arkham Origins pricked up my pointy bat ears. Given that electricity is the closest thing to real-life magic in existence, the idea of the Caped Crusader tackling a boss made of the stuff had me quivering in my cowl. Personally, I'm not taking any chances. Entering a caged arena that makes Fight Club look like a wellness retreat, a cutscene introduces the man who puts the double A in AAA gaming. The only Batman villain capable of killing you and then jump-starting your heart to kill you again. You prepare for the worst. Perhaps you picture some dastardly mechanic where Batman gets zapped every time he connects a punch. And so you tentatively press square. And you just kick him once, and he's down. These are a flipping waste of time, weren't they? Come on. Number 2, and we're in Kojima land, because A, Dave throws a strop if he's not in the Friday feature, and B, whatever the subcategory of boss, you always know Metal Gear has you covered. As well as pushing the boundaries of what a boss battle can be in encounters with Psycho Mantis or the Sorrow, Hideo Kojima is just as creative when he explores alternative solutions to fighting. Whether that's using tranquilizer darts to put Dead Cell to bed in Metal Gear Solid 2, or speeding up the end with the old age trick, but I'm opting for the introduction of quiet in Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain. And before you write angry comments defending her abilities, yes, I am well aware Quiet can put a bullet in your heart faster than D-Dog can steal your heart. In a traditional sniping exchange, she easily puts lead in my heart, my head, and any part of me not quivering behind a rock. But if you're willing to lose some dignity points and use a shameless strategy to undermine her sniping talent, you can use airdrops to rain heavy crates on her from the heavens. Must be using DPD deadly package drops. Does anybody else smell cheese? To think that a world-class, parasitically enhanced assassin who can literally shoot the pilot of a plane mid-flight while also in a moving helicopter can be outmatched by gravity-powered cardboard. You can find her sense of dignity in the same place delivery companies leave my packages when I'm out: the bin. Being the first boss in a game is a tough gig. They're often artificially enfeebled to make the player feel all-powerful straight out the box. Certainly the case for Poseidon in God of War 3, who comes at you in the opening minutes wrapped in the power of the ocean. The sight obviously leaves me conflicted. On one hand, lovely water graphics. On the other hand, lovely water graphics that are trying to kill you. But it's all a bit of a gimmick, isn't it? The actual Lord of the Oceans is just floating inside that thrashing mass of crab claws and seahorses. That's horses made of sea, not the cute pets. He's only one Kratos-shaped torpedo away from getting knocked out of his giant watery body. Wasn't he paying attention at boss school?
Remember, no capes, no monologues, no gimmicks to kill the protagonist.
It's just so humiliating to put on a 200-foot wetsuit and get pummeled by a very angry gnat. Up against Poseidon, Kratos' attacks are the equivalent of pricking someone's thumb with a sewing needle. That they're so effective is due to the watery giant breaking the 4th rule of boss school, having a massive, obvious glowing weak spot.
No, never have an obvious weak spot.
It's basically inevitable at this point that Kratos is going to scoop the monarch of moistness from his body and give him a beatdown so brutal I don't have the stomach to watch.
Rule number 5, never let Kratos touch your eyes.
Boss number 4 also struggles with being the first fight in a game, but that game is Crash Bandicoot, a game so tricky I'm convinced it was built in collaboration with my mum to stop teenage me from getting too big for my boots. How else would you explain these early bonus levels? So imagine the shock when my bruised ego reaches one of the easiest bosses I have ever fought. The fight with Papu Papu is a classic platformer boss battle setup. Avoid a wide area attack for a bit and then jump on the bad guy. This is the stuff they teach you on day 1 of boss school. If Papu Papu had hung around for day 2, he'd have been taught to turn his swing speed up a notch from glacial and to stop giving Crash such a big window to jump on his head. Oh, and do pull up your pants. This is PS1. We can't waste precious processing power on crack rendering. It makes the rest of the game feel ruthless in comparison. Not even experienced gamers can handle some of the more notorious challenges in Crash. To this day, I don't think I've ever managed the high road without having some kind of breakdown in the middle. Papu Papu, on the other hand, is so wimpy even the developers judged him. They sent him back to boss school for the Insane trilogy and raised the number of jumps required to dispatch him from 3 to 5. Thank God they didn't decide to up the difficulty in other levels as well. Seriously, how does anyone do this? Our next pick hides amongst the devilishly tough boss battles of Ghost of Tsushima. Here, duels can be decided in the single flick of a blade, and most battles, like the Tengu Demon or the Spirit of Yarikawa, feel like repeatedly cutting your mouth on a sharp crisp. The salt stings, but you know full well you'll go back for one more. And then there's Jinroku, who's more like that limp crisp you dropped in your fizzy drink. You're introduced to Jinroku as part of the Other Side of Honor quest, where it appears that a samurai from Clan Adachi managed to survive the massacre at Komoda Beach. Jinroku talks a big game, more like Boast of Tsushima, but Jin's charlatan radar goes off and he pursues the fibber. Unless you're willing to spend 60 to 70 hours collecting banners, crickets and haikus, you can't go around calling yourself a samurai. Of course, a cornered animal is often the most dangerous, so you still expect a thrashing. What follows is as dramatically charged as any duel in the game. A stark splash of calligraphy, characters teasing katanas from scabbards, lonely trees in the wind, one of those big Japanese floor cello things going like this. So you bravely take a step forward. And
wait, I don't want to die. I surrender. I'm sorry.
He's not even ready salted crisps. Up next, Palmer from Final Fantasy VII, an insufferable boss in the management sense, and a laughably easy boss fight to boot. This Shinra director and 90s officeware icon turns up in Rocket Town, providing comic relief before you proceed towards the City of the Ancients and the less than comic things that happen there. While Final Fantasy has a history of serving as weaker, jokier bosses, think Ultros from Final Fantasy VI or Steiner from Final Fantasy IX, they're not usually sitting on the board of directors at a world-dominating megacorp. For starters, you could drop Palmer a few rungs on the management ladder for his inappropriate workplace conduct, while you could dismiss his booty slapping as an artifact of a bygone era. When he turns up in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, it's not like he's learnt the lessons from his mandatory HR training. Says here that bottom gestures are a definite no-no. As a giant amphibian robots. That's a shame. Arguably, the biggest barrier for promotion is Palmer's lack of environmental awareness. And I'm not talking about pollution. At the end of the fight, Palmer only narrowly avoids receiving a short back and sides from a propeller before connecting with the bumper of a Shinra truck. And I don't mean on LinkedIn. Picture this, an optional encounter in a tough area in an infamously difficult game. Should be a recipe for a bruising encounter. Only this boss actually bruises more easily than a banana. And if that isn't cause for demotion, I don't know what is. Hailing from a series so difficult that the words "you died" are permanently burned into my TV, Pinwheel is a real outlier in Dark Souls. You take more damage from the drop into his home than the fight itself, which can be over in a handful of hits as long as you keep on its case and prevent him from cloning. Listen to me, talking about boss strategies as if Alex isn't sitting just over there playing the game for me. What's odd about Pinwheel is where he lives in the game. If this was the first thing you met after leaving your cell, he'd be an all-timer difficulty spike. As it is, he resides in the catacombs, which most players will reach after Ornstein and Smuff, which means you've already amassed the considerable power and skill to beat Ornstein and Smuff. Of course, you can reach the catacombs much earlier. You take a left turn into Skeleton Town at the start of the game, but the skills you'd need to survive that bone gauntlet means you'd still be good enough to humiliate Pinwheel even at a lower level. As I'm going to demonstrate now, isn't that right? And with that, we're already at the end of our list of 7 bosses so easy they should be demoted immediately. If you'd like to avoid being demoted, then make sure you leave a glowing performance review of me in the comments below. You might even get a raise if you like the video, and maybe even a promotion if you subscribe. If you did all that already, and you've clicked the notification bell to receive updates on our next video, you're already on the shortlist, and you'll hear from us next Friday at 4 PM. We'll see you then. Thanks for watching.